Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel today. In today's video, we are going to be doing a wide receiver tier list for the upcoming NFL draft. Now, this receiver group is very, very strong, and there are a lot of notable players that I think are going to be difference makers at the NFL level. So today, we're just going to talk about all of them. I have my tier list. My categories are studs, dudes with high upside, white boys with swag, aka corked up white boys, mid, and then receivers who are not that great and probably are getting a little bit overhyped. As usual, if you guys have been enjoying the videos, please don't forget to subscribe. I made a quarterback tier list not too far back, and I kind of liked it, so I'm going to try it with receivers. So let me know if you guys want me to do other positions coming up in the NFL draft. We're going to start with Adonai Mitchell, aka AD Mitchell, and I honestly think this guy has really high upside. I am super high on AD Mitchell. I thought his film at Texas was phenomenal. Even at Georgia, I think he was really, really good as well. And I think some of it was Quinn Ewers is not that good, truthfully. He reminds me of CeeDee Lamb, with his size and with his silky smooth route running. And again, that's like a rich comparison, I know, but he really does give me CeeDee Lamb vibes. And so I have him very highly on my list. My next one, another stud, which is the first stud in my category, Malik Neighbors. There are some people that are convincing themselves right now that Malik Neighbors is wide receiver 1 in this class. I won't go that far, but I will say that Malik Neighbors is a truly elite receiver prospect. He will not make it outside of the top 10. I guarantee you he will not. If he's there at 9, the Bears are going to run the card up to the stage and take him. But he is a phenomenal player. He is a great separator. He's got game-breaking speed. He's a huge playmaker. He's got good hands, runs good routes. There is not a lot that you can nitpick about Malik Neighbors' game. He is truly a very, very good receiver prospect, and I think any team will be lucky to have him. Brendan Rice, the son of the GOAT. I'm going to put him in mid. Now, I know that Brendan Rice isn't expected to be, a high draft pick, and he doesn't jump off the page athletically. But I do throw a little bit of caution to the wind for receivers who don't have good, underlying measures, who might just so happen to be the son of the greatest receiver of all time and just might so happen to be playing with the first overall pick at quarterback. I'm not saying Caleb Williams carried him. He's a fine college receiver, but I just don't see anything special about him to make me believe that he could be an elite receiver at the next level, other than his last name, truthfully. Jalen McMillan, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put both of the wide receivers named Jalen from Washington in the mid category. I don't think they're super spectacular. I'll put them ahead of Brendan Rice. Sorry. I don't think they're super spectacular. I think their offense was really, really well. I'd actually probably put Jalen Polk ahead of Jalen McMillan, truthfully. I think that, I think they were really good products of having Rome Odunze ahead of them, having Michael Penix throwing them the ball, having Ryan Grubb being their offensive coordinator and scheming up a really good offense. That's not to take away from them. Again, does not mean they're bad. They're not. But these guys are going to be probably third, fourth, fifth round picks. And with the exception of like Puka Nacua last year, you don't see a lot of fifth-round picks being difference makers at the NFL level. Again, it happens. We see it every once in a while, but I just don't know. With the receiver class this loaded, I can't put them in the same tier as the big boys in this draft class. And so, unfortunately, they are not white boys corked up with swag, so I got to put them in the mid category. Jermaine Burton. Now, I've actually come around to Jermaine Burton. So you might be noticing, Alabama fan, right? You would think that I've watched a lot of Jermaine Burton games, which I have. And truthfully, at Alabama, I was never really that impressed. He never jumped off the screen for me. Now, post Bryce Young, obviously, if you guys know, let's be real here. Jalen Milroe is not a great quarterback. He's not a great thrower of the football. So I think that for a guy like Jermaine Burton, he suffered. I thought he was much better with Bryce Young than he was with Milroe. But going back and watching, he was open a lot. He was. His routes are pretty good. And, Isaiah Bond kind of stole the headlines a little bit because of his heroics in the Iron Bowl, but Jermaine Burton was consistently the best Alabama wide receiver. I think that some people are down on him because is he an Alabama receiver like an Amari Cooper, like a Julio Jones, like a even Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle? No, not even close. But he was, I would say, by far the best receiver last year for Alabama, and I think he suffered from subpar quarterback play. I will put him at the top of mid. Because I was pleasantly surprised when I looked back, because I didn't have that high of a grade on him watching him every week, but He's sneaky. He can be pretty good. Keon Coleman, I think, is the definition of high upside. This guy's a freak athlete. Did not run super fast at the combine, but honestly, like I've been reconsidering my evaluation of that. I don't really care, because like a lot of the best receivers in the NFL don't run super fast combines. What I have seen is that the gauntlet drill, the drill where you're running across catching balls on both sides, pause. He reached the highest miles per hour for any receiver, and that's said to be like a good, measuring point about where your athleticism at receiver. Obviously, at Florida State, when Jordan Travis went down, he dealt with some subpar quarterback play, but this guy's a physical monster. And I think if he gets in the right offense, if he gets with the right coaching, they could fully unlock his skill set. Now, his separation ability isn't great. I will admit he needs to learn how to separate better. But I think again, we've seen receivers succeed that aren't elite separators, right? And I think again, with the right coaching staff, with the right quarterback, he could be really, really good. Let's go to Lad McConkey. Definition of swagged out white boy. This guy's playing at Georgia and he's making dudes miss. Truthfully, I think I underestimated Lad McConkey. I don't remember like thinking that highly of him during his career. And looking back, I'm kind of like watching some of his film, and I'm looking at that offense, and I'm just like, damn, dude, him and Brock Bowers were like carrying the load for a while. Um, I think that those guys are both really, really good. I think Lad McConkey, with his phenomenal Senior Bowl performance, with his excellent, kind of, I think, showing, he's a damn good athlete. Like, he profiles almost 1-to-1 exactly with Garrett Wilson. Size, speed, athleticism. It's basically Garrett Wilson, right? Now, I think Garrett Wilson's a little bit smoother, everything like that, but Ladd McConkey has proven himself that he is no scrub, and he very well might end up in the first round. He very well might end up a Kansas City Chief when this is all said and done, which is fucking scary. Luke McCaffrey, perfect, another example. Swagged out white boy, right? So for those asking, I did just realize that I had put Brian Thomas instead of Malik Neighbors. My eyesight ain't that good. Just please deal with it, all right? Continuing the discussion of quirked up white boys busting it down, Luke McCaffrey, brother of Christian McCaffrey. Now, if there's one thing you know about the McCaffreys, is that they're a different breed, right? Ed McCaffrey played in the league for a lot of years, was phenomenal with John Elway. Christian McCaffrey, as you know, is really good, and he won the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. But Luke McCaffrey, like, he went to Rice, right? Not a football factory. His quarterback was JT Daniels, who has been playing for 58 college football teams. I think he's a little bit overlooked. And this is a guy not going to go high in the draft, probably going to be a 5th to 6th round pick. He tested well. And again, like, you can look at athleticism, you can look at whatever. He's got good blood. He tested well. He ran faster than Chris McCaffrey, which is actually very surprising. But I'm gonna put him in white boys with swag. He got a little white boy swag in him, so that's what I'm gonna say. But no amount of white boy swag would be able to quantify just how good Marvin Harrison Jr. is. The clear-cut receiver one in this class, in my opinion. Again, people are going to gaslight themselves to say that Malik Neighbors is higher. They're going to gaslight themselves to say maybe Roman Dunze is higher. And to me, that's just, prospect fatigue. And some people are upset with the fact that he's not going to do his pro day, didn't do the combine. Doesn't matter. He's still going to be the top receiver taken. If you look for any quality of wide receiver, he has it, and he does it well. Hands, balance, body control, route running. He's pretty good after the catch. Not an elite yards after catch guy like Malik Neighbors, but just everything about receiver, he's great. He, like Brendan Rice, has a Hall of Fame dad of the same name. So, I don't know what you could really nitpick about Marvin Harrison. Hope he likes wearing red because he is going to be an Arizona Cardinal. Now let's talk about Brian Thomas. I actually have the picture right this time, so I'm going to move him up. I think that he is a very high upside guy. He's a really good separator in college. He has elite speed. Him and Malik Neighbors were just running past dudes, and it was just not fair. I think there's a lot to like. Again, I don't think that he's the caliber, like the highest caliber receiver, but he's a very, very good receiver. He would be the number one wide receiver in some drafts. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. He is a damn good prospect. Unfortunately, he's the second best receiver on his own team, but that doesn't take away from his own ability. I think he's going to be phenomenal. He'll probably fall to the back half of the first round. I think a team like Well, the Texans don't have their pick now, but a team like the Cowboys could really use him. I think at 24 would be a great spot for him. So I'm excited to see where Brian Thomas goes. I think he's a very, very good receiver. He's like the prototypical receiver for today's age. He's big and he's fast and he can catch well. So I have no issues with that. Ricky Purcell. Now, I want to make sure something really quick. All right, we're good. Yeah, so Ricky Purcell is going to go with in White Boys with swag. Talk about a guy that showed out at the combine. He really put up some good numbers, was very agile, very athletic. First guy in, last guy out type of. No, I'm not going to do that whole thing. But again, post Anthony Richardson, the Gators kind of fell apart this year. They did. They did not have a great year. Quarterback play was suboptimal to say the least. This is the type of guy that is going to go in like the second or third round and you're not really going to think much of it, and then all of a sudden later on in the year he's got 800 yards and he's making a third down machine, right? I'm not going to say Hunter Renfrow, but could be that caliber of player. So I think that's pretty good for them. Next on the list we have the Michigan Wolverine, Roman Wilson. Not very high on him. I'm going to put him after Jalen Polk. He's not super big. He doesn't possess, I think, an elite trait necessarily. Although his tenacity and run blocking is actually impressive. I'm not joking. Like he actually is like a really good run blocker. He made a comment, if I remember this year, he made a comment something about like Marvin Harrison's cleats because he was wearing like the Louis Vuitton cleats. Like I don't know. I wouldn't try to go for the head of the king there, my friend. But again, played for Michigan. They were a very run-heavy team. And J.J. McCarthy, as noted during this process, was not thrown for like 300 yards a game, right? They were a run-heavy offense, and he proved valuable because of his run-blocking ability. I think that's truthfully one of his best attributes. Now, is that, I guess, what teams look for in a receiver coming out of the draft? Not their number one priority. I think he's pretty mid across the board. But if he goes to a team that is very run heavy, if he goes to the Ravens, honestly, in like the fourth round, I think that's a good fit because they're going to run the football, especially now with Derrick Henry. If he goes to maybe the Eagles, I think that's a good fit. They're going to want to run the football. So he does have a skill set for a specific team. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be, 1,000-yard receiver. I don't necessarily see that for Roman Wilson. But again, he's a good run blocker. He does have something that sticks out, and that is his run blocking capability. Rome Odunze is a stud. I think he's clearly the third best wide receiver in this draft. One of the best jump ball receivers I've seen. Just had an ability to go and make big plays at Washington. There are very few things on earth prettier than a Michael Penix moonball to Rome Odunze. I mean, it was just gorgeous. It was a gorgeous sight to see in Washington. He does a lot of things well. His yak ability is not amazing, but other than that, his hands are really good. He runs good routes. Again, he's a go up and get it type of receiver, and I think that's a lost art in the NFL these days. This guy is really, really good, and I'm excited to see what team he ends up going to. I think he's clearly the third best receiver in this class, and like I said with Malik Neighbors, this guy is not making it past the Bears at pick 9. The latest he goes is pick 9. I think we get 3 receivers in the top 9, and I think it's deserved because those guys are all really, really good. Troy Franklin is another guy coming out of Oregon. Now, he is a yak machine. He's a yak monster. I'm going to put him right below Keon Coleman right here. Oregon's offense was very run and catch, right? Bo Nix was not like Michael Penix. He was not throwing a lot of moon balls that his guys were going up and high pointing or it was falling right in the breadbasket. They were throwing a lot of RPOs. They were throwing a lot of quick slants. They were throwing a lot of skinny posts. They were doing a lot of stuff like that. And part of the reason they were able to do that was because of Troy Franklin and his elite speed and his elite, yards after catch ability. This is a guy who maybe doesn't have the pristine route running of Marvin Harrison, or he doesn't have the size of Keon Coleman or whatever, or any of these other guys. But you put him in an offense that is RPO heavy, that is quick game heavy, that is, maybe screen heavy. I think he could do a lot of damage. I think that he could be really good. Truthfully, I don't know if I'd take him in the first round. I think he's a very solid early second, mid-second round pick. Just because I would probably like the upside of Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell, Brian Thomas a little bit more. But I would definitely take a flyer on him if I was a team in the middle of the second round. Let's talk about a few other guys real quick. Devontae Walker. I'm going to put him at the top of mid, and that's not because I don't think he's good. I think that high upside is going to get a little overcrowded. That's maybe a spoiler for my next two guys. But I honestly think that he can be pretty good. Again, we've seen a lot of like North Carolina receivers come out recently. Josh Downs is a prime example, and he was playing with Drake May, which is great. You might have expected a little bit more playing with Drake May. I know he was productive, but maybe you expect a little bit more. Devontae Walker to me is going to be a fine receiver. He's maybe a third, fourth round pick. He's gonna be solid. Like mid. It doesn't mean bad. It just kind of means like they're gonna be okay. Like they're not super special to me. And honestly, like I just prefer a lot of other guys above him. Which to speak on those, let's talk about two guys that I'm gonna put in high upside. I'm gonna put Xavier Legette right behind Keon Coleman, and I'm gonna put Xavier Worthy right behind Troy Franklin. Xavier Worthy, his high upside. He's fast as fuck. In case you missed it, he broke the record for the 40-yard dash. Fastest dude ever to run the 40. Pretty good. Again, that kind of speed is upside. Like, there's no debating. Like, that kind of speed, you cannot teach it. You cannot produce it. You have to simply witness it, and you have to draft it. And we've seen, I don't want to throw out John Ross examples, but we've seen John Ross do the same thing and completely flutter in the NFL. I think Xavier Worthy is a much better prospect than John Ross. I also think John Ross was severely overdrafted. So I think teams will learn their lesson. I don't think Xavier Worthy's going top 10. I don't even think he's going top 15. But a team with a good situation that is able to cultivate his speed and teach him how to be a wide receiver could really get the most out of him. Now, Xavier Legette, his comp, for good reason, is DK Metcalf. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. He played with Spencer Rattler last year, which at times was really good because Spencer Rattler can make some wild throws, but at times was wildly inaccurate. South Carolina's offensive line was also atrocious, truthfully, like so bad. I don't know how Spencer Rattler is still standing. And so it didn't allow for his routes to kind of fully develop and everything like that. So I'm going to say that I'm really excited to see what he could do. I don't know if you guys have heard him talk, but his country accent is legit, man. That is some cool stuff right there. But I think that he could be a really good receiver. I believe he transferred from quarterback, and this was his first year of production at South Carolina. So I think this guy's the limit for this guy. So this is my, I guess, tier list. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Roman Wilson and Jalen McMillan down here just to even out the board a little bit. This is my tier list. Again, sorry for putting Brian Thomas as Malik Neighbors. That's my fault. My eyes aren't that good. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did and you want to see more tier lists, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.